what today is about, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We're going to talk about the mountain life. Now, the mountain life is not just a song that was written last year. It's not just a catchy little tune that talks about the mountains. It is a way of life. And so my phone has 35,387 or so pictures on it. And so today I went through my phone and I got out a bunch of pictures that kind of speak to me about the mountain life. Because the mountain life is you and me. I didn't used to be a mountain girl. I grew up in the city and I got here as fast as I could and I met as many wonderful people as I could. I was kin to a whole bunch of them over in Dawson County, so I had a little edge on it, even though I was that city slicker cousin that everybody said, she'll never stay up here. She'll never stay. Oh yeah, I've been here 54 years now. I seem to have stayed, so I stayed. And I learned a way of life that is like no other. You can move here from New York City and you can be a part of the mountain life. All you have to do is say, hey y'all, be good to folks. When somebody's mama passes, you cook something and take it to the funeral home. When you hear there's been an accident in town, you immediately get together to see what can you do to help a family. When there's a house fire, everybody gets together. That's part of the mountain life, but one of the biggest part of the mountain life is the music, and we talk about that a lot. We talk about it a lot. But we really don't talk about the heart of the mountains. The heart of the mountains is the people, and people are so different. They're so amazing. One is a great canner, one is a great quilter, one is somebody who sits and crochets all the time. I think about my Aunt Bessie, and I can never think about her without her thinking, or her sitting there doing crocheting. I can never think about my Aunt Leela. That's my Grandma Dobbs' house. If I think about Grandma Dobbs, I think about snapdragons because she taught me to love flowers. That's a dear friend's farm. That's cotton fields in Alabama. That's what the mountain life is made of, but it's made up of y'all, you people. You amazing, amazing people who love to make jelly and share it with your neighbors. You love to pick a bunch of tomatoes and call and say, hey y'all, I've got some tomatoes, would you like some? I picked a dish pan full. A lot of people don't even know what a dish pan is, for goodness sake. Never stop doing the little things for others. Sometimes these little things occupy the biggest part of their hearts. That is a statement about the mountain life. That tells you you can do one little thing. I think about when Lois Chastain was alive. She brought me so many home canned goods because she loved me. That was her way of sharing love, and I love that about people. And when you look at that cotton field over in Alabama, I love to just stop and hold that cotton, pick that cotton, feel that cotton. There's nothing like it. And if you haven't done that, you're missing out on life. Now that, my friends, is country ham. That is a big part of mountain life, because if you grew up here in Gilmer County, I bet your daddy killed a hog every year, and I bet your mama rendered out the lard, and I bet you they had country ham on the table with biscuits. There's nothing like it. Now, I'm really, really proud of some things that are going on in Ball Ground right now. I'm so super excited because some historical buildings are going to be refurbished and made absolutely beautiful and try to take them back to this where they should be. And the house you just saw is a house that was taken back a bit. Now this is my favorite room in my whole life, anywhere I've ever been. That is the addition, part of the addition that I did to the 1835 farmhouse. When I got into the farmhouse, my husband was still alive. We finished the kitchen before he passed, but that's all we finished. And then he passed away and I did the rest of it. And I think about, that was my place of peace. That was his place of peace. That's the mountain life, finding your place of peace. Now that is one of my favorite quilts, and that's Grandmother's Flower Garden. But this is in Ball Ground. Ball Ground isn't a mountain city. It's not a mountain city, but it has people who live the mountain life. It has people who still farm. It has people who still make jelly, and Christmas, somebody always brings me apple butter. Somebody always does something nice. That's what the mountain life is. It's an attitude. It's a kindness. It's a spirit. And you can be part of that spirit. Now this gentleman lives up in South Carolina. He's not of the mountain life, but he is one of the kindest, sweetest guys I ever met. He's always doing for other. Aaron Tippin, every show he does, he raises some money to give to the veterans. That's what mountain life is about. It's about doing for others. It's not about occupying everything with yourself. It's not about all about being about me. It's about doing for others. And this is out at East Side Grill here in Gilmer County. Those two plates hanging on the wall were my grandmother's. They have been in the family since before I was born. That means they're older than dirt. And when I helped a friend, went out there and kind of decorated his place, and I don't think he was crazy about it first because we painted wood, but it just says warm and welcoming. Granny and Grandpa are there as you go buy you a biscuit, and I love that. Now this is mountain life, because you see that mountain behind them? That now is the ridge where beautiful, beautiful homes are. It once is where the cattle grazed. It once is where the farm was. It once is where electricity came from in ball ground. When you're looking at today's world, remember, we can preserve the past as we embrace the future. The two can go side by side. It's so very important to remember our history. It's so very, very important to preserve the past. And I love that that's about to happen in ball ground. We have some amazing things happening. And that sweet girl is my sweet Dawn. And she is the kraut making queen. I sent her to modeling school and she came home and made kraut. I don't know where I failed, but the girl can make the best kraut in the world. So that's mountain life. She had an opportunity to go to Atlanta. She had an opportunity to do this and this, and she came back and she makes kraut, for goodness sake. Now this is a piece of property that I had on the market for over 2 years. A beautiful, beautiful setting, but it was a very rural area, and I got so tickled because people would come up from Miami to look at this property. Well, y'all know, if you're from Miami, you're not about the mountain life. And one gentleman came up there and he wanted to buy this property so bad, but his wife came with him the next trip, and she went about 100 feet on the dirt road, and she said, this is not happening. And they left, and I sold it to somebody who loves it and appreciates it. This couple speaks volumes about the mountain life. That's my precious sister and my sweet, sweet brother-in-law, Charles. Lila went to be with Jesus, and we're approaching that day that I hate so bad. When she was diagnosed with cancer, she took 1 chemo treatment, and she went to meet Jesus. She loved the mountains. They spent summers for many, many years in Bryson City, North Carolina, on a little bitty road up at the top of a hill in an old mobile home that belonged to Charles's parents. They loved the mountain life. We grew up in Orlando and Atlanta. She wasn't a country bumpkin, but she loved it. Our grandmother always taught us to can, and Granddaddy always killed rabbits, and they fried rabbits for Sunday dinner. So we were exposed to it, but we didn't really understand it. When you come to the towns we serve, from Turtletown to Ball Ground, you learn about the mountain life. Now that, every fall when it gets cool, I start making cobblers and delivering them to neighbors. That's a blackberry cobbler that I just threw in the oven. I ended up that day making 5 cobblers and taking them to different neighbors. If you're lucky enough to live close to us and I put you on my wish list, you get a cobbler. That's just a little gesture of what mountain folk do. You know, you don't have to do something elaborate. You don't have to do something crazy. I give cobblers as gifts because instead of shopping, I just make you a cobbler. And folks say, well, I don't have to dust it. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to put it because we're going to dispose of it real quick eating it. Now this is Mountain Folk in Jasper. I love this because somebody found this, and on one of these pictures, actually my mother is standing right there near the front. And this was done in the 60s. That's when people gathered in Jasper for the 4th of July. They still gather in Jasper for the 4th of July. It's still a big deal. It looks very different than it did back then. But we always had clogging, had gospel and bluegrass and country music on stage. Often Donis Blackwell would be there with his group, and it just was about the mountain people coming to town, because they didn't go to town all the time. Like today, we'll run to town 4 or 5 times. Didn't used to do that. Used to, you stayed at home on your farm, and then you came to town on Saturdays to buy your groceries, to pay your bills, to go to the bank. Now that's a blackberry cobbler just about ready to come out of the oven. And let me tell you, I do a lot of things pretty good. I do blackberry cobblers really good. And if you're, blackberries, I didn't get any this year because somebody didn't pick any. He got lazy on me. He was too busy working on this new CD I forced him to do. But now there's a cherry cobbler, and I have friends who love cherry cobblers. Mr. Benny Townsend, who was the dearest, kindest, sweetest man, had Townsend's grocery store in Jasper, loved my cherry cobbler, so I would often make him one and take it to him. That's all it takes to become mountain folk. Just be good to people. Open the door for somebody. Be kind. Be the kind of person you would want to be. Now, this is an experiment I did. I was making a pound cake, and I filled up Granny's pan, and I had a little bit of dough left, and so I put it in these little mini jars, and that was the coolest way to just have a little bit of it without having to cut the cake, because I was going to give the cake to somebody else, and I thought, okay, I'll just get me a little piece, and it worked great. And I baked the cake in the tiny canning jars. Now this is the mountain life. Granny Harris lived to be in her 90s. She was still chasing cattle at the farm in her 90s. Mama lived to be in her 90s. She was still living the country life in her 90s, lived alone at home. There's 5 generations. That's the mountain life. That's what mountain life is. It's you people, it's your families, it's your heritage. Who taught you to make kraut? Who taught you to make jelly? Who taught you to quilt? Who taught you to crochet? The person that taught me to crochet ought to get an award, because I was slow to get to the gate with that boy. I was having a hard time. But my granny taught me to string beans, and she loved stringing beans. So I was so happy she did, because I liked it, but I got bored with it a little bit. You can't get bored with stringing beans. You got to do it. Now there, you talk about generational mountain folk. Those people represent coming from Yellow Creek, coming from probably homes that didn't even have running water and had an outhouse. That's mountain folk, and those are good folk, and that's what it's about. These mountains are filling up with a lot of new people. If you come here, now that is my granddaddy and all his brothers, and I might say, yes, they were dressed for church. Actually, they were going to a funeral, but they also made moonshine. And they didn't make moonshine because they were criminals. They made moonshine to feed their families. And I think that's part of the past. That's part of mountain life. It wasn't to be a criminal, it wasn't to go to jail, it was to feed your family. So that's what mountain life is. And when I think about the mountain life we're living today, we're living fast-paced. Now there is my sainted father-in-law, Homer Martin. I adored that man, and I had the honor of preparing for his funeral. I got to choose his clothes, I put his hat in his hand, I chose his casket. Love that man. He was the sweetest man that ever walked this earth, and boy, did I love him. And he loved me, and yeah, I miss him greatly. He was such a good guy, such a good guy. Now this is my favorite thing about mountain folk. If you're out showing real estate, and this has happened to me, I love this. I'll go out to show something way up in the country, and then these poor city slickers that are with me will say, did they really mean that on that sign? I said, well, maybe yeah and maybe no, but we'll be cautious. But that is, we pray for each other. We also pray that if you don't know Jesus, you'll get to know him before you trespass on our land. So mountain folk have a little dry humor, and sometimes you're like, what did they say, and did they really mean that? Well, maybe not, and maybe so. But this is part of the mountain folk. People are making a living now building this live edge furniture. And this is from one tree that was cut down in ball ground. People still know how to preserve the past. They know how to treat the wood that has been there for many, many generations. That's what mountain life is. And if you don't know how to do woodwork, shame on the school system, because they used to teach it in school. And this is, these old bridges. Get out and walk and go to these old bridges. Get out and walk and sit on the riverbanks of the many rivers that are in the area that we serve. There's so many places that you can go and just learn a little bit about the mountain life. It is truly a way of life, and you either love it or you come here and you go, this is not for me. Most people come here and say, oh my gosh, why didn't I get here sooner? It's beautiful, it's relaxing, it's calming, and it's just a way of life, but it's about the people. And you can always tell when somebody's not from around here. My granny'd say, they ain't our kind and they're not from around here. And I said, okay, Granny, be nice. If you're around here and have been around here all your life, you throw up your hand when you pass by. It doesn't matter if you know them or not. Now this is amazing rock work that was in Ball Ground for many, many, many generations. I wish I could locate those rocks today because we did some improvement on that land and I don't know what happened to the rocks, but sure would like to find them. And this is how it used to be. And this was downtown Ball Ground. Ball Ground is changing, but we are preserving the past as we embrace the future. Some new projects are going to be happening in Ball Ground, and they are super exciting because 2 historical buildings are being restored to their glory, and I cannot wait to see them. So it's an exciting time, and that's what it's about, preserving the past as we embrace the future. So if you're here and you're a newbie and you don't know, when you're riding around the roundabout or wherever you're going, you throw your hand up because you just might meet a friend. And that's the best way in the world to meet a friend, is make a pot of soup and a pan of cornbread and share it with your neighbor. Because if you've got a new neighbor, good way to get to know them. Get to know the nice folks moving in. Now this is a way of country living. This is the doors from Harris Farm. And thank goodness, saved them, restored them, took off about 8 coats of paint, and Don Perry did an amazing job building me a table out of it. Those are the doors out of the back of Harris Farm. I didn't need the back doors, but needed the front doors, so it just worked out perfectly. Love it. This says it all. A day in the country is worth a month in town. If you haven't been to the country, and I mean really the country, where folks are still sitting on the porch picking a banjo, playing a guitar, Granny's out in the garden, you need to get out in these woods and go to the country. Now that's where country folk go to town. This sweet lady, we met in an event we were doing in Atlanta, and we still keep in touch. That's what Southern women do. That's what country folk do. They become friends just by talking, just a conversation. And you end up with a great friendship. So don't not speak to people when you're out and about. You know, sometimes people will open the door for you and be very courteous, and other times they ignore you. Now today, we're going to share a very, very special part of North Georgia. David Ralston was a big part of this event, and we're going to share that with you shortly. We're also going to share some music from the Barker brothers. I never left the year end without David Ralston being with me. This is country living. You take your most prized quilt, you set the table with it as a tablecloth, and you dare anybody to spill anything on it. I still love to use linen napkins. I still love to use my antique quilts, and I still love to make biscuits in an iron skillet. There's something about the mountain life that is addictive. Yeah, I came here a city slicker, but I got just as country as fast as I could. This is Cataloochee. If you've just moved to the area and you haven't been to Maggie Valley, take a trip. It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes up there. What a wonderful day. Now this is true mountain life. This bed, 6 generations have enjoyed this bed, and it started with Grandmother Helderman many, many, many years ago. And that's what it's about, passing down the things that you treasure. That's life. That is what life is about. So if you treasure it, share it. If you love it, teach it. If you love to cook, teach your grandchildren to cook. If you love to grow beautiful flowers, teach your grandchildren to appreciate that. Do something to share the mountain life with that next generation. And that peach cobbler was so good, y'all. I know right where that went, and it was a good cobbler. There's just something about giving back. That's what the mountain life is. And today we're going to give you back some music from the Barker brothers. That's Brunswick stew. That's Sherry's Brunswick stew. And Sherry does very different Brunswick stew than most people, but it's pretty yummy. And most people say, well, I believe that's the best I've ever had. So blackberry cobbler again, because I'm a cobbler girl. We're going to take you to Sherry's first apple pie. Everybody thought that I really didn't do that. We're going to take you to the Barker brothers up in McKaysville. This is the first Tuesday of the month, and they're starting these singings and these get-togethers, and I don't know how often they're going to do it, if they're going to do it through the winter or if they're going to just do it through the fall. But Scott Barker is a big part of this, and you talk about mountain folk and good folk, that's them, that's them. So we're going to take you now to the Barker brothers as they were in McKaysville on Tuesday this week. ETC is out in your community talking about you, sharing you with the world. Here we go.
Good evening, folks. How's everybody doing? We're going to have some fun this evening. We're going to pick for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we're going to have just acoustic jams over the park here. And we'll start winding it down about 8 o'clock because 9 o'clock the park closes. And that guy in the badge back there told me that. So anyway, just don't want to see him haul me off. No, sure enough, we don't want to disturb the neighbors here close. But anyway, we're going to have a good time. And we want everybody just to tell your neighbor about it. If you know someone that picks, plays, tell them to come out. We're going to do this every first Tuesday. I think we'll have a good time. Let's make it a good family, friendly event. All right, here we go. Little song.
Tonight on Heart of the Home, I'm lucky enough to be at Mercier's Orchard. Miss Kay Kendall, my guest. We have a relationship, don't we?
We do, Sherry.
You make pies?
My crew and I make pies for you about once a month, I think.
That's right, and I sell the pies to raise money for charity. I met Kay through Habitat for Humanity, and for about 2 years now, we have been selling your famous fried pies, and I always tell everybody where they came from. I never take credit for them. And honestly, until today, I'm 55 years old, I'd never made an apple pie. I made just a apple pie. I've never done fried pie, so I'm going to try that next time. I've never made a fried pie, but I think I've sold about 2,100 of yours. So we made some money for charity.
You know, we would be glad to teach you how to make fried pies, but we really like you by an hour, so I'm not going to encourage you greatly to start the fried pie business.
I want to buy yours. I want to buy yours. A lot of labor, a lot of work. How many do you think you made this weekend?
Well, we have 13 varieties of fried pies. Clearly, apple is our biggest variety, and this weekend we sold over 7,000 Saturday and Sunday of apple.
Wow.
So we sell a lot of fried pies. A lot of people come to the mountains for the Apple Festival, and Mercier's is the largest apple orchard in the state.
Wow.
So we get lots of visitors, and they do seem to like our fried pies.
They do love your fried pies. Now, I really like your sweet potato pie. And that's another show and another story.
We'll do that at Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes, we'll do Thanksgiving. we'll be back for sweet potato pies. Now, the pie that I made tonight had Granny Smith apples, and I know you brought us some Granny Smiths. I used 5 Granny Smith apples, a couple of pie crust, a stick of butter, 3/4 cup of sugar, cinnamon, and I put craisins in it because I just like craisins. So it's my crazy apple pie.
Well, that sounds
And we're
great.
going to try that. We're going to try that. I like craisins. There's just something about them. And honestly, this is my first apple pie. I've never made one. So
and now you know why it's easy as apple pie, right?
it is easy as apple pie. This was so simple. And I have to give little Katie Pack a little plug because I think Katie started a recipe like this, and her husband bragged on it a little bit, and I thought that sounds pretty simple, so I did it today, and it was so simple. It was so simple. And baked it about 35-40 minutes, took it out of the oven. We haven't tasted it, but I think it's going to be good. It smells wonderful.
Well, it looks wonderful, Sherry.
I think it's going to be okay. So simple, and the ingredients were something you keep at home anyway. No big deal. You don't have to run to the grocery store. And remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So keep your bag of apples in the refrigerator, right?
Right. In that plastic bag that you get them in, keep them in the refrigerator, and they'll last. A lot of apples will last into January and February.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Now, remember, this pie was made with Granny Smith's.
My favorite, Sherry. Honestly, when I make a pie at home, I always use Granny's. When we make our fried pies, we use a lot of Golden Delicious. We use Yorks and other things. But I like the tart of the Granny Smith and the sweet of the sugar. I think it's a great combination.
Yeah. All-time first. Was it good?
Wonderful.
Good. Katie, thank you so much for sharing your recipe. Kay, thank you for opening your kitchen. And thank you so much for the money we've made with Habitat, because we truly appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you, and thanks for having us
You're welcome.
on your show.
Quick, simple recipes that anybody can do. I made my first apple pie.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time, and delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We can't play about our future or our finances. Make moves, set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up, stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things. This is Pretirement.
It's the 75th Annual Georgia Mountain Fair, August 15th through the 23rd at the historic Georgia Mountain Fairground. Live entertainment, arts and crafts, food vendors, carnival rides, and more. Join us Thursday, August 14th for our 75th anniversary celebration with live entertainment, a fireworks show, and 75-cent carnival rides. Tickets available at the gate or call 706-896-4191. Visit GeorgiaMountainFairgrounds.com for ticket prices and concert schedule. Thanks to Towns County Convention and Visitors Bureau and all our generous sponsors.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece or just making memories. Writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Thank you so much, Senator Gooch. Senator Gooch, not to correct you, but I've got to brag. There's actually over 62 general officers that have graduated from North Georgia College. Yes, and 2 of them are here today, General Gerard and General Terry. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome someone who stepped into the Speaker's shoes and literally was passed the baton. He stepped with grace, humility, and a deep commitment to continuing his legacy. Now in his 3rd legislative cycle, you're still surviving, Speaker, is barely. From the southern part of our state, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome a champion, Speaker John Burns.
Thank you, President Shannon, Jessica. It's good to see you again this morning. And good morning, everyone. You all know what I know. It's a great day to be a Georgian. It's even a greater day to be in North Georgia. So it's beautiful here, and we're glad to be here. Dale and I are, and we're just glad to be with this group of folks who are celebrating the life and legacy of Speaker David Ralston. Governor Barnes, Governor Deal and Brenda, good to see you again. Governor Perdue, Governor Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp. It's always a pleasure to see you guys and appreciate y'all being and doing the job that you do. We will, as we've heard, Matt, your dad would be proud of those comments. I can assure you of that. I was touched by them, and you as well, Spiro, as we reflect on that legacy that David Ralston left to us here in our great state. Now, I was reflecting on something Chancellor Perdue, former Governor Perdue, I can tell that your team, along with the presidents, have put a lot of work into this event this morning, and it's perfect, I think, to the very last detail, except one thing that we'll all remember about Speaker Ralston. I know because you're an old farmer, you're ready to get up and go to work at like 9:30 in the morning, something like that, for a start time. But I'm not sure Speaker Ralston would have been here at 9:30 this morning. He had something to say about that. He might have been an hour or two later to get this thing started, because he was not a morning guy necessarily, was he? He liked to get started, but a little bit later would have been the proper time. But in all seriousness, there are a few people who have made such a profound and lasting impact on our state and on the people of this great state, all over the state, as the late Speaker David Ralston did. Speaker David Ralston was a giant of a public servant. I want to emphasize that, of a public servant. He was larger than life in so many ways, with a heart and a vision for this great state to match. That booming voice, y'all remember it, Matthew, sound a little bit like him there. I like your voice. Was a voice that commanded attention and respect. It was no secret to anyone who knew him that he was a true son of these mountains. And he was very, very, very proud to continue to call this place home. No place like home. He lived that. The evidence of his unwavering commitment has been spoken about to this community can be seen everywhere around you, but especially here at his alma mater, North Georgia University. Speaker Ralston certainly had a very strong belief that higher education leads Georgians to greater opportunities and generational change for anyone in our state, but not just for them, but also for their families. And that's exactly what these new academic buildings here at the University of North Georgia represent. An opportunity, and we need opportunities for countless young people and students to create that better future, not only for themselves, but for their families, their communities, this state, and I may say our world. So look across around this tent this morning. I'm reminded of our work in the House passing Speaker Ralston's Mental Health Parity Act. Many colleagues are here that voted and stood with the Speaker. They had a hand in making that legislation a reality for the people of Georgia. You know, Speaker Ralston had mastered the legislative process, I believe. He gained great satisfaction, personal satisfaction, knowing that he was serving his people by moving important, life-changing legislation, policy, if you will, through a sometimes very complicated system. Right up to the very end, Speaker Ralston maintained his resolve to change the narrative surrounding mental health. Mental health here in Georgia, which are so dear to him, and to ensure that Georgians facing a mental health crisis were able to receive the same quality of care as any other sickness. I'm proud that my colleagues here in the General Assembly, but especially in the House, are continuing to carry that mission forward. I'm grateful for the support of each of you here today as we work to strengthen the access to mental health care in every corner of this great state. And I'll say especially a thank you to Cherie Ralston. Your great work supporting the Speaker, and certainly your work now at DBHDD. Thank you, Cherie. I'm very confident that I know that every person here this morning has been personally impacted by Speaker Ralston's years of selfless service to not only North Georgia, but to this entire state. I know Dale and I are both certain of that. He impacted our lives tremendously. His legacy has already been cemented in the history through his incredible policies he championed on behalf of all of his fellow Georgians. And I'm grateful that this name and memory are being memorialized here at this University of North Georgia that he loves so dearly. I'll close with this. I think words of wisdom, I'd like to use them. Always say that a story seldom told is soon forgotten. So I'll ask you all here today. So let us all commit this day and the days going forward to keeping the cherished memories of our friend, Speaker David Ralston, alive for generations to come. Today and every day, hope has won. David Ralston served this state. He served the people of this state. And we thank God for the life of David Ralston. May God continue to bless this great community and bless our great state of Georgia. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for honoring Speaker Ralston's legacy and for your steadfast commitment to our communities just like this one here in rural Georgia. Our next speaker is a leader who understands that the future of Georgia depends on broadening access to higher education, especially in rural and growing communities like this one here in Blue Ridge. A leader who believes that the path to economic competitiveness is paved by the transformative power of a college education. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce to you today my boss, the 81st Governor of Georgia and Chancellor of the University System of Georgia, Chancellor Sonny Perdue.
Thank you, President Shannon, Governor Kemp, First Lady Kemp, my former colleagues, Governor Deal, Governor Barnes, and Speaker and senators and legislators. Isn't it a great day here in Blue Ridge, Georgia? This is so authentic. Look behind me at this building. Doesn't that just look like David Ralston in that way? I mean, really, it is authentic because when I first met Speaker David Ralston, he came to the Senate when I was serving their skin, you may remember. And what I loved about him, not only was he winsome, smart, analytical, he was could look at legislation and really understood what it said and helped perfect it, but he never forgot from where he came. And that always impressed me because oftentimes people come to Atlanta and they want to act like they're from somewhere else. David Ralston never did that, Matt. He was proud of his home, and he was proud of his people. He was proud of this area. And also, as you well know, he understood the need that you talked about, Sparrow, of having opportunities for young people growing up in these beautiful mountains to be educated here. I tell people, President Shannon, that I believe aside from one's fate, I think education is the most transformative thing that can happen to anyone. And that's why it's a real honor for me to be in this position to help create a fertile environment for higher education. Thankfully, on behalf of the largesse of Governor Kemp, the House, the Senate, and all you legislators who support the investment that you make, Georgia's doing good, and it's going to do even better. I think Zell Miller taught me in 1991 when I came to the Senate, Governor, that the combination between higher education and economic development was like a flywheel that continues. You know now, when Governor Barnes was there, companies would come and want incentives. What are you going to pay me to bring jobs to Georgia? And as we start sowing the change, it was the same for me. Governor Deal, I think you saw some of the transition there. But now, you know what they asked Governor Kemp? Where are we going to get the talent? Where are we going to get the people to put in these plants and run them and make Georgia succeed? That's the flywheel. So this is a very impactful job for me. I've loved all my jobs, but this one, I tell people, is probably the most impactful that I've ever had, being able to see the life-changing transformation of higher education for particular first-generation students. It changes their trajectory, it changes their generational, it changes their family tree. And you've got many examples out here that show that. So thank you all for letting me do this job. Thank you for the honor of being here to represent the University System of Georgia and to celebrate this building that is so emblematic of David Ralston's life, his service, and his impact on all small areas of Georgia all across, even south, east, west, north, and all over. So thank you all. It's a great day. God bless David Ralston.
Thank you so much, Chancellor, for your leadership and your vision. And ladies and gentlemen, for helping make days like this possible in every corner of our state. And now and finally, we are honored to hear from the governor of the great state of Georgia, a leader who shares Speaker Ralston's belief in investing in people and place, and who has been a tireless champion of education and workforce development across our entire state. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a warm Blue Ridge welcome to the 83rd governor of the great state of Georgia, Governor Brian P. Kemp.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And good morning, President Shannon. I don't know at this point what else is left to say, but I'll give it the world anyway. It is an honor for our great First Lady Marty Kemp and I to be here. I certainly had a great friendship with David Ralston and a great working relationship, but so did Marty and our family, and I'll always remember and cherish that. And we're honored to be here to really celebrate the legacy of his many contributions. I want to thank Matt and Spiro, Senator Gooch, Speaker Burns, and Chancellor Perdue for their just heartfelt but also very inspiring remarks. I mean, it really helps remember the legacy of David Ralston. I also want to thank Chancellor Perdue and for what the USG team is doing to help raise the next generation of hardworking Georgians. Just last week, the Chancellor and the Technical College System of Georgia Commissioner Greg Dozier signed an articulation agreement that will further grow our nursing workforce. And President Shannon, I know this institution will be a big part of that and this building. And I know that a lot of time and work went into that agreement, and I'm certain that that is the kind of things that David Ralston would have celebrated and also championed. I also, like everyone else, want to thank the current and former elected officials that are here, Governor Barnes, Governor Miss Deal, my fellow constitutional officers, Chancellor Perdue, Speaker Burns and Miss Dale, the members of the General Assembly, we are so thankful that you're here and appreciate your support. Regent Sifan, the rest of the Board of Regents that supports great projects like this, also helps vet those kind of things before they get to us during the legislative session. And General Terry and General Gerard, we appreciate y'all's service to our country. You've done great things, and we're grateful for that. Also, President Shannon can't believe that Sandy Ott's going to run off and leave us in our time of need. The President said she already left during the middle of the service. I did just want to thank Sandy for her decades of service to this institution. And listen, there's a lot of other faculty, staff, K through 12 educators, local elected officials, community leaders. We all appreciate you all so much. That's really the strength of our state. It's what I talk about a lot when we're trying to recruit businesses or selling our state and other places around the country or the world. Is the Georgia way. It's the Georgia way of us all working together. Just like Matt and Spiro were talking about and the others that David Ralston had. He would work together to get things done. I also just want to thank the entire Ralston family for being here today and for continuing to carry on the legacy of one of Georgia's truly greatest statesmen. David Ralston embodied so many of the traits that are needed to be a public servant. He was steady through turbulent times, but he was also passionate about issues close to him, and he was also ready to act when others would hesitate. But above all, he had a vision to improve his community, but also our entire state. That drive to do what was best for all helped us shape the direction of Georgia. And it was that drive that led us to work closely together in passing the Mental Health Parity Act. While some at the time questioned if it was a fight worth taking, Speaker Ralston never hesitated to do so. Thanks to his leadership, as Speaker Burns mentioned, we are now doing more than ever to support those struggling with mental health issues. And as our First Lady likes to remind people all over the state, it is okay not to be okay. And we'll continue to make progress in letting all Georgians know that, and that's thanks to the good work of David Ralston. Even as he championed statewide causes like this, Speaker Ralston, as was mentioned earlier, never lost sight of his district and the people that are here. A native of North Georgia who truly loved these mountains, he believed in the potential of this region and worked to foster its success. And a key part of that mission, President Shannon, was this institution, and specifically this campus. Surrounded by the beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains, Georgians can now pursue degrees that will open doors for meaningful careers like nursing, education, and in agriculture. If he were here today, David Ralston would be proud of the progress that has already been made at this campus, but also in this community, his community. And in the days to come, we will continue to make him proud as more and more Georgians find success here, and as we foster job creation and investment in all parts of our state, so that every community, like was mentioned earlier, no matter your zip code, has opportunity. Nothing would be better to honor the memory of David Ralston than continuing his work to help lift up our neighbors and fulfilling that mission. So I want to thank you all for being here to honor this great Georgian's legacy and the institution that meant so much to him. Congratulations to UNG, the Ralston family, and this entire community. May God bless this campus and all who walk through these doors of opportunity in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor Kemp and Miss Marty Kemp, for being here, your remarks, your enduring commitment to ensuring that every Georgian has access to opportunity. The opportunity provided by higher education is inspiring. Governor, we really appreciate you being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've heard from family, from friends, from leaders, and together we've honored a legacy that will endure long after this moment and far beyond this walls. As an anecdote, we worked really hard to figure out that we could have let everybody tell these stories because of the impact of David Ralston. And I hope you will all leave here today and know that we have honored him so well. This is more than a building, ladies and gentlemen. It is a bridge connecting students to brighter futures and communities to lasting prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, as you walk through these halls, we hope you'll take a moment to explore the personal touches that honor Speaker Ralston's life and leadership. And as was mentioned, the custom rug that embraced the Speaker's office was donated by the Culpepper family, symbolizing the responsibility and dignity of his role, and we're so incredibly grateful to have that here on our campus. There are also two powerful portraits, one by renowned Georgia artist Steve Penley and the other by Travis Massey, which was commissioned by the University of North Georgia to reflect the Speaker's image, but not only his image, his spirit. The original copy of this portrait was dedicated last year and hangs at the entrance of the House Chamber in the Capitol. It is a perpetual sign of Speaker Ralston's leadership and service to our great state. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, there is a collection of memorabilia and artifacts from his time in office, reminders of the trust he carried, the values he upheld, and the legacy he leaves behind. These tributes reflect the heart of a man who never forgot where he came from, a man who brought Blue Ridge with him to the Capitol every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, as we cut this ribbon, I want us to proudly proclaim today, Hope Won. Will you give one more round of applause for David Ralston? And now at this time, I'd like to invite the ribbon cutting party to join me on the patio for the official ribbon cutting. And please, ribbon cutting party, please join me. Once the ribbon is cut, we invite everyone to tour this amazing building and our entire campus, and everyone experience firsthand what this new phase of UNG Blue Ridge means for our students, our region, and our state. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now deliver nurses and teachers and leaders to this part of Georgia at scale. Thank you for being here with us today, for your belief in the mission and work of the University of North Georgia, a university with a vision to be the most innovative, dynamic, legacy-making university in America, a university that doesn't exist. Ladies and gentlemen, Godspeed, go Nighthawks. Now, let's go cut that ribbon.
How are y'all?
Big smiles up there.
Smile, everybody.
All right, everybody.
3, 2, 1.
The Mountain Life coming soon to ETC TV3. The guys are out in the field again. They've got some great music, and you're going to be able to see the concerts in their entirety very, very soon. So check our listings and stay with us about the Mountain Life. Local television about you, about the things that matter to you. And one of the things that really matter to us is remembering that very special man, David Ralston. What a gentle giant he was. And it was an honor to spend time with him. It was an honor to be able to just watch him do what he did, because he truly loved these mountains, and he was a big part of the Mountain Life. Don't forget, you can check us out on YouTube. Everything we do, it goes to YouTube, and all the old programs too. You'll see some of our interviews with David Ralston, because for years he was here. For years you've been with us, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that you say, hey, I can pick up the phone and call ETC's office, and I talk to somebody who sounds just like me. And they make good sense about them, common sense. That's what keeps ETC doing what we do for your community, where rivers, mountains, and good friends meet. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a little mountain music. Here we go.
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. That taught my faith as far, and grace my fear relieved. How precious did that grace appear, me now I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. We know last days to sing God's praise. Then when we first begun, I apologize for the long rain. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.